This year for our 12th anniversary, in addition to Soie, meaning silk in French, of course, we're also releasing a Soie Reserve. And this year's Soie Reserve is actually aged in Madeira barrels, following the traditional aging in bourbon. That's a little bit of a harkening back to some of the anniversary beers that the brewery's done in the past. Actually, right here is a Sucre, and this was 2014, and it was actually aged in Madeira barrels. What makes this year's Soie Reserve different is it was actually double barreled into the Madeira barrels. So on top of all the complexity and aging that we get in Soie, we also get that complementary aging in the Madeira. And when we came across Madeira barrels, we were particularly excited. I remember talking to Jeremy Sour Jesus about that opportunity, and we thought that Soie, the way that beer is really tasting these days, would be complemented immensely by some aging in those barrels. And of course, the double barreling aspect to it just adds more complexity. So that's what we did. Really couldn't be happier with how it turned out. And it's it's fun because it's harkening back to some of the methods that were used earlier in the anniversary series. And so for the longtime members, you'll kind of remember those different versions. And this is kind of sparking that program again, only with the moniker of Reserve. Madeira, of course, is an antique beverage, if you will. It's a fortified wine specific to a certain region in Portugal, and it's kind of an interesting beverage. Much of what we learn to appreciate in traditional beverages is the nature of them itself, and Madeira is a very complex fortified wine. And with that Madeira comes a certain level of spice, some character of cellar aging, as well as a little bit of fruitiness and cherry, and that's what I'm getting on the nose. Almost a little bit of funk, but then I really get that fruit character coming through, and then there's also an aroma there that I would characterize as spice. But I know it's a combination of the age and the fusel alcohols. And then on the flavor, there's a lingering sweetness, even though we know this is a very dry beer from a specification perspective. That sweetness and that hint of cherry from the Madeira barrel aging really rounds it out. It's an intensely complex beer. It's really, really good. For me, I think our anniversary pairs really well with robust flavors in meals, and I think that this particular version, Soie Reserve, especially with that extra complexity from the Madeira barrel aging, I see this pairing with a lamb dish. I'm thinking grilled lamb chops or maybe even a roasted shank, but the complexity of this beer, I think, would cut through some of the stronger flavors of a meat like that very well, and it'll pair well with savory foods in general. But that's how I see this, is coming with the main course of a meal, and lamb just sounds good right now. I think if I had to answer the question of if I could share this bottle of Soie Reserve with one famous historical figure, I think I'd probably like to crack it open with Ernest Hemingway. I think he was an appreciator of finer things. He was a world traveler, and he certainly liked to drink. So that's who I'd like to share this with.